Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are on this spinning pea. It's time for the Dynasty Stock Market show. I'm Biggs. I got Brian. Too much of him in the show right now, and we are wishing the best for Dynasty F Key, aka Alex, and his family. He's got a sick kid, and he's got to take care of that. So he's not going to be in here today. We got Jamie Pirog in the chat. We got Mark Grebler in the chat. We got a rookie mock draft to do. This is a Dynasty Superflex rookie draft, tight end premium, and we're about to get to that. What's up, Bradley? Bradley's in the chat. But first, why don't you go ahead and use your dulcet tones to let everybody know who you are, where you're at, and what's going on with you, Brian?
Hey, Biggs, thanks for having me on. Excited to get into this rookie draft. Yeah, I am Brian at @too_much_Brian if you're looking for me on Twitter, at @too_much_Brian everywhere else. Can't get rid of the underscore on Twitter. I'm here, or I'm a part of the Fantasy Football Advice Network, where you'll find my show, Too Much Fantasy Football, and also this guy's other show is, what is that, Fantasy Forecast, Dynasty Pulse? What doesn't this guy do?
A lot.
Not if you get a few drinks in them.
What I don't know could fill a book. All right, let's get to this draft. We are starting off. I don't like that. That's not very big. How can I change that?
That's what she said.
Brian, coming in hard. That's also what she said.
Yeah, you can't. You're teeing me up for these. Come on.
I can't embiggen it, I don't think. Anyway, we'll just go ahead and hit the start button. And I thought I turned the sound off. There we go. All right, J Will 294 is first on the clock. It's a 30-second clock. And I did make a couple slides of the first rookie mock that I did 3 months ago. And it looks like Ashton Genty is Ashton Genty and Omarion Hampton, they have not moved in 3 months.
I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer there with Genty, but yeah, I think it's the 102 when these conversations are really going to start talking, especially once these landing spots hit.
And, I mean, we've gone through this draft season, and we've had the Senior Bowl, we've had the Combine, and we've had some talk and chatter and rumors and all that stuff. But really, it's going to come down to Thursday and Friday, and then we'll see what's really going on. And it'll be interesting to see what the rookie mocks look like on Monday.
Yeah, 100%. This ADP is going to move all over the freaking place. I do love that a lot of my drafts start, late Saturday night, early Sunday morning, because you can kind of take advantage of a little bit if you're prepared.
Absolutely. And Terminal Sarcasm is in the chat. I don't know if they have one of the IDs in the draft. We have Big Game James. What's up, Big Game James? He's on the clock. I am up next. And Jamie Pirog, Biggs does it all except beat me in rookie mock drafts. That's not true. I have never lost a mock draft, Jamie, and you know that. So stop your chirping. All right, drafting out of the 106. What am I doing here? I am going to bang this one.
Well, you've got the first quarterback, first tight end off the board, and then you followed up with the second.
Who should be the first, according to some people.
Big Loveland guy over here, huh?
No, not necessarily. I'm just, I'm doing it for the memes. I'm doing it for the content and seeing where we go. It seems like in the last 3 weeks, every quote-unquote expert has said that Colston Loveland is the most athletic tight end in this draft and should be the first. And Terminal Sarcasm is not in the draft. Well, thank you for watching anyway. Obviously, you've got some stake in the game. You're checking out, getting prepped for your rookie drafts, and glad to help you get a gauge on the market. We got Hunter going off, we got Burden going off, and now it's Brian.
So the wide receiver on the board, Ibuka, it's hard for me not to take him here. I'm excited just for the floor that we're going to get with that guy. But I can't imagine we're only having one quarterback go here in the first round. So this being a super flex draft, I've got to take a quarterback here. And even if Schroeder gets a higher draft like slot than. Oh no, I missed it. Oh, never mind, I got it.
You got him.
Set the Q. We got the Q. Yeah, I'm going Jackson Dart. The upside of him over Sanders is just it's all the rushing. So that's all I really need when it comes to these super flex drafts.
Yeah, and everybody who has ever heard me talk knows that Dart is my QB1 in this class since the Senior Bowl, and I pound it on every show. I make sure that everybody knows when all is said and done at the end of 2025, everybody knows I was the first one to be number one on Dart. I was going back and forth Loveland or Ibuka, but he finally goes at the 12, and that's surprising. I think that Ibuka has the best outlook for his career of any of the wide receivers in this class.
And it kind of sets up the people, the rebuilding teams pretty well. If you're rocking the 101 and you're able to pull a Genti and then potentially Ibuka is going to come back to you at the 201 or you're at the 202, that's a sweet setup to get you a very safe wide receiver while also getting a stud running back. So this class, we say it every year, but this might be a little deeper than we realize once we get into the NFL draft.
Yeah. And if in my rookie draft in my home league, I'm able to land Jaden Higgins in the middle of the second round, that's crazy value.
Mm-hmm.
And Jacob Williams says, got Caleb at the 201. That's crazy too. Like every year we go through the same charade. This draft is so thin. And then when the rubber hits the road, there's value everywhere.
All right, this is where it gets tricky here without landing spots. Ollie Gordon's on the board. If he goes in a good situation as a number two back, but gets the beginning of that workload, kind of maybe he goes to Cincinnati, pair him with Chase Brown. A hell of a 1-2 punch. I'd like him a lot more, but I'm gonna go wide receiver here. No, I'm not. I am going to go with Ollie Gordon. Good Lord. I set my cue, man. I was trying to go Jalen Noel, but looks like we are going Ollie Gordon here.
You don't even have fat thumbs. And yeah, Jalen Noel is a great pick right there. I like Royals too. I just wrote him up for our Fantasy Football Advice Network rookie draft guide that will be dropping sometime after Monday. And boy, thick. Like, getting to watch him run routes at the Senior Bowl, he carries his strength in his lower half, and he wins with his hands and his butt. And he's only 6 foot, so it's not like he's towering over guys. He's pretty athletic. He's average speed. I think he's going to be good in the league as well. And Noel is there he goes. Okay, there. And on me. You know what? It's tight end premium, and if I go this way, I'm coming out with something because he is my tight end one in this class.
He is one of the hardest situations because I have him ranked up there as he's kind of flirting between my tight end 2, my tight end 3. But that's not exactly where I would draft him, if that makes sense. Because this guy is 20 years old, I'd love to get him in the 3rd or 4th rounds if we can get a little bit of a tumble, because he might not actually pay off until year 3, year 4, year 5. Look at David Njoku, 20 years old when he hit the league, and just kind of the same situation. So Harold Fannin might be a guy you pick up in a year or two on the cheap because, hey, I took a shot on him. He's not there. The guys are trying to get rid of him. So definitely somebody I'm looking at there. Every time I try to say his name, I end up screwing it up, and I get made fun of by my co-host on the Too Much Fantasy Football show. So I'm going with Alec, going with his first name because his last name is a son of a, it's just.
But how would you say it if his last name started with an M?
Mayo Manor.
Yeah, so just
Mayo
drop
Manor.
The first M.
Hey, Mayo Manor. I can't. No, I'm just. He's Mayo Manor now.
Ayo Manor.
Ayo Manor.
Ayo Manor.
As soon as I look at it, though, I always end up putting the emphasis all over the part of his name.
So one of the things that I've been trying to say for the last 3 months to everybody watching the program is how much value I see in the 3rd and 4th rounds, and even into the 5th of this rookie draft. So we've been trying to tell people go ahead and make those trades. And every time you're making a trade, go ahead and get the other party to throw in a fourth rounder or a fifth rounder, because you're going to be able to get guys like Jarquez Hunter, who just went off the board. In the third round, Jack Besh. Jack Besh could wind up wide receiver 4 in this class. He does have that kind of upside. Not a lot of people know this, unless you're a huge fan of reception perception, because they won't stop talking about it. But in 2022, I want to say, Besh led LSU in receptions and yards, and that was on a team with Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., and Keyshawn Butte.
Wow. Jarquez Hunter, you had Woody Marks, and then Brashad Smith. 3 like amazing running backs to take a shot for in the fourth. They're not falling to me.
So I'm going to take a shot on a guy that I want to talk about, but I don't really know if I'm going to own very much. And that's Tez Johnson from the University of Oregon. We kind of get lost in the analysis and the data, and we Jamie Pirog. Restrep, no. I in this spot, I really, really like Taj Brooks. I think he has a whole lot of upside. I would have been looking for like a Brashard Smith right here in the middle of the fourth. But I want to talk about Tez real quick, because we tend to get caught up in the analytics and even in like the draft profiles. So this kid is, 5'10", 155 pounds, which isn't going to get anything done in the NFL. But his adopted brother is Bo Nix. And he had kind of a circuitous route to stardom. He started at Troy. I want to say he didn't have any. No, that was Royals. So he started out at Troy, and then as soon as he had a breakout at Troy, and then he transferred to Oregon. So he transferred up in terms of competitive level and went off for over 1,000 yards, tripled his touchdown count. And watching him at the Senior Bowl, he's an elite level route runner. He didn't test very well at the combine. You can't be small and slow. You can be slow. You can be small. You can't be small and slow. He was small and slow. So I think he kind of had, he didn't save himself at his pro day, but I think that as a slot receiver, he's gonna be able to do some things. Maybe, I don't know. He's kind of enigmatic, and I don't know how much I'm gonna be able to pull the trigger on him. I'm doing it now because it's a mock, but I'm warming up to Tez Johnson.
Interesting. I definitely thought you were going a different direction with that wide receiver, so I'm intrigued to see if you grab him here in the fifth. But so the guy I grabbed, I think, is a screaming reason why I like doing rookie drafts earlier. I just got Kyle Williams in the fourth. His ADP is significantly lower than where I grabbed him, and I think that's because we've got some other wide receivers a little bit more excited about. But go ahead and put on the tinfoil hat here. There's a lot of talk that he's going in the second round. He wants to match him up with his old teammate, take him to Tennessee to play with Cam Ward. So if he gets that kind of draft capital, to grab him in the fourth round, that they're going to pair up with a brand new rookie quarterback, that's a steal in my book. Because otherwise it would have been Rocket Sanders. But with him still sitting there.
So when we start talking about Senior Bowl darlings, just looking here in the fourth round, Tyler Ferguson went off at the Senior Bowl. Tez Johnson turned heads. Trevor Etienne was making some downfield catches in the receiving game that were just crazy, and we know his bloodlines. Gunnar Helm is supposed to be extremely athletic, but hasn't been able to do anything this rookie draft season because of his injuries. Kyle Williams was a head turner. We've got pro comps to Savion Williams. We've got Torrey Horton, who was a darling at Colorado State. Oronde Gadsden is my other favorite tight end. Kyle Monungai has gotten a whole lot of like combine buzz and everything. And then this guy is like the most athletic wide receiver in the class. Isaac Tesla. And we're talking fourth and fifth round here, you guys. We have, like, you want a Puka Nakua, you got Isaac Tesla. Huge guy, great hands, great catch numbers. John Lobb loves him. We got to vibe on a show a few weeks ago about him. And, make those trades. Go grab those late round rookie picks, because your league mates won't think that they're losing much, and you're going to be snagging guys who are total lottery tickets that are bound to pay off. And there goes McCord. Sorry you couldn't get him.
I had him queued up here because I didn't believe that Rocket Sanders was going to fall to me in the fifth. Majority of my dynasty leagues, 3 and 4 rounds. So you're telling me most of these guys were picking up off the freaking waiver wire? I'm just glad Chev's not in the building because he would have taken him in the second, I'm sure. So I love being able to pull Rocket Sanders here in the fifth.
I love Rocket Sanders. In fact, I have tweets going back to 2022 talking about how he's my favorite running back in the class. And as it happens, you get some post-hype stuff. People rise up draft boards. People start talking about stuff. Guys transfer out of the University of Arkansas situation and get hurt. And then come into the combine, lose 20 pounds, and run a very fast 40 time, even though they're big. I love Sanders. And again, I don't mean to hammer this so much, but he just went at the 5'11". And he's been in the should be a productive running back space for the last 3 years. He just didn't come out early enough. Is Tesla a cybernetic robot from the future Elon Musk sent back? You know, I'm not going to say he's not. All right. So let's take a look real quick at some of the okay. So in the first round, we had Genty, Hampton, McMillan, Ward, and Warren. Ah, crap. That didn't work the way I wanted it to. Genty, Hampton, Egbuka, Ward, McMillan, and Caleb. So that's we have Egbuka dropping. Oh, come on. I'm going to get the buttons right. And then Travion. Travion goes.
And I don't know if Henderson I mean, I guess I have him going in the first round, which it would be hard to let him fall to 107 for me. I guess it's just, me putting him in a really good spot there in the first round. But goodness, this is going to be an interesting draft.
So 3 months on, Caleb drops, Egbuka drops.
Are you Luther Burden? Are you a Luther Burden guy there, Biggs?
I'm a Luther Burden questioner.
I can respect that.
I'm going to say that I'm going to have more shares of Luther Burden than this year than I had of Brian Thomas Jr. last year, because I don't want to make the same mistake that I made with Thomas last year, and that is following college usage rates too much. Now, there is some data that we can use, like where players line up, and there some wide receivers fall into a trap where the college team that they're on only uses them in one spot. So you have guys with like 75 and 80% participation rates from one side of the field on the line of scrimmage at the X spot. And those guys don't tend to have a whole lot of success in the NFL. Guys that move around the formation, guys that, have complicated route trees or diverse route trees, those are the guys that you tend to want. So like Trey Harris, while he's my favorite wide receiver in the draft, his usage rates were not helpful. On the other hand, you have a guy like Luther Burden, where he was used way closer to the line of scrimmage and he had a terrible quarterback. So we don't know what he's capable of completely. We know what he's capable of athletically, but we don't know what he's capable of on like in game time situations. Similar to Brian Thomas Jr. last year, he was used in a specific way by LSU, and he was asked to do a whole lot more by Jacksonville, and he did it with no problems, right? But when you're looking at stuff like that, you don't see that coming. So I don't want to make that mistake with Luther Burden. I'm gonna be drafting him more than I drafted Brian Thomas Jr. Because I don't want to be wrong, because I understand athletically his potential is, wide receiver 2 in the class, wide receiver 1 in the class. So Jaden Higgins is another one. He lined up too much on the outside, but I watched him and I know that he can do more if he's being moved around in the formation.
Yeah, I do have Higgins above Noel, the teammates there, but I like Noel better. than Higgins. And I don't know if it's the ADP discount, how much that's playing into it, but like even coming out of a lot of these meetings that these players are having, I'm not going to call Higgins an idiot, but coaches have said that Noel is more of the cerebral player. He's the guy that can give more detailed answers. He understands the game a little better. And those are the guys I like because even if the skills aren't fully there, they find a way to get open. Is Cooper Kupp the most athletic guy out there? Absolutely not. But he knows how to play into cushion deep. He knows where to find those sweet spots, and that's half of what we need. The NFL is changing drastically. I mean, it changes every 3 to 5 years, but what we're seeing right now, it's more of that style of player. Guys that aren't the biggest, aren't the giant ones. I love those. It's hard for me to move away from it. I love a 6'4", 6'5". Savion Williams down there in the 501. I thought that's the guy you were going to bring up when it was Tez Johnson. But like Savion Williams, I'm sitting here like frothing at the mouth. I want to draft him everywhere. And just the fact that I can get him late is amazing.
Right. And that's the thing is that I am more of a Savion Williams guy. I had him in like 3 of my C2C leagues. I didn't have any Tez Johnson. I'm not a small wide receiver guy. I'm a big wide receiver guy. But I think that there are going to be some. I've been burned too many times by the Kevin Whites, the Quentin Johnstons, especially coming out of TCU. Like, I feel like with Savion Williams, I'm going to allow him the ascension in my C2C leagues, but I'm not going to be drafting him a whole lot in startups or rookie drafts. I think I'm going to be able to play it that way. So I do have some shares, but they're the ones that are already wasted, if you know what I mean.
Speaking of bust wide receivers, you see who got arrested over the weekend?
I probably did, but my mind is blank.
Justin Blackmon.
Oh, no.
I saw his mugshot. He looks like a lineman now. Like, laughing at the guy. I hope he gets the help that he needs and get it all figured out. But oh my God, talk about a transformation from top 6 pick, top 7 pick, something like that, and just nothing.
So I was going through some comps, and in the comp model, Jalen Royals comped to Michael Gallup, and Michael Gallup comped to Justin Blackmon. And I did that just yesterday and didn't even notice. All right, we got some comments. That first 5 is very, very likely. Absolutely no way Caleb slips out round 1 in 12 team, even if super flex. I mean, I don't know. Okay. What if there are 4 quarterbacks that go in the first round?
If Milrose goes in the first round, it's going to be hard not to take him.
Right. And above Sanders those. Too. So that pushes 2 quarterbacks into that round. What if Quinshon Judkins falls into the mid-second?
That's where I could see him overtaking Judkins if he doesn't get the draft capital we want, if Caleb gets a little better. So I could see those 2 swapping, but I mean, there's no way Hunter's falling into the second round. Burden, I could see falling into the second round in certain leagues. Egbuka possibly too, depending on because it's every league's different. Your champions or the guys that have that 110, 111, 112, it might not always be somebody who just won a chip. Maybe it's a player that they traded away that's 112, and now it's a rebuilding team that has that. So they'd probably take a shot on a quarterback there versus taking Caleb Johnson at 112. So it's every league's going to be different. And I play in a lot of rando leagues. Why? Because there's a lot of idiots out there that they think they know ball. I'm not saying I know more of them, but I know how to win over those guys evidently. So every league is different. So it's so hard to lock in that's where they're going because ADP is freaking ridiculous.
Right. And in my home league, Travis Hunter is going with the 101. And I know this because I have the 101. And it's an IDP league.
Oh, nice. Oh, dude, freaking gold in IDP. Even if he is a primary wide receiver, still going to be freaking gold over there.
So IDP leagues with Superflex, startups, Travis Hunter is still the 101.
That's wild. It makes sense.
Right? And Jackson Dart, I think that 500 yards rushing every year, and we saw what Bo Nix did last year. What Bo Nix did last year was he put together a Derek Carr year, which is top 15 with his arm, and then he added rushing yards on top of that, and that bumped him into the top 10. Jackson Dart is a better runner than Bo Nix. He's also a better passer than Bo Nix. He's better at RPO than Bo Nix. And I feel like people don't see Jackson Dart coming. we saw what Jaden Daniels did last year. I feel like in the right situation, Jackson Dart could be a top 4 quarterback by the end of 2025.
If he plays 16 games, rushes for 500 yards, it's almost impossible for him to fall outside of the top 14 on the finish. Unless you're Anthony Richardson, it is almost impossible. I mean, actually, Richardson still would be up there if he finished the full season. So just with, the rushing touchdowns that he adds despite the horrible passing. Ignore the Colts thing. This is not pro Anthony Richardson. That's not what we're doing here.
and we know that Jackson Dart has twice or 3 times as much experience as Anthony Richardson, which talking to FF Coder over at the Undroppables, experience is starting to be like we've historically wanted to have younger profiled quarterbacks. The quarterbacks that hit are the ones that come out after 3 years. But Coder is finding in the data that it's the older, more experienced quarterbacks that are having success because of the experience. They've seen more things, guys that transfer a couple times. It's the only reason that I have any hope for Cam Ward is because he's been around. He's been in, a couple, 3 different programs, and he's seen some things. So he's going to be able to adjust quickly. I don't like his arm. I don't like his brain. But I necessarily, I think he still makes some rash decisions that he needs to get rid of. But he does have that kind of profile that, if he gets some time, he reminds me a lot of Caleb Williams from last year in that I don't think he's ready yet, but he is. But a lot of people have steamed him up to be the most NFL ready. I think Dart is. All right. We have the roll 07, Rashee Rice or Sam Laporta. Dynasty full PPR, no premium, but good on wide receiver. Michael Mayer is my tight end 1. Then you're going Laporta. That's easy for me.
I'd be okay going Rashee Rice. Really, after the top 2, current tight ends that we have in the NFL, I'm okay with, just plug and play. Give me streaming tight ends all day long. I'm okay with that because I bet you could flip Rashee Rice or one of your other wide receivers for, a different tight end, maybe one that has upside. We were seeing Evan Ingram just 4 or 5 years ago. You were getting him late in startup drafts. David Njoku has had his fall. There's so much value, I feel like, late in tight end. If you don't have one of the top 2 elite guys, I don't see Sam Laporta as that, I'm okay shopping around.
Yeah. I don't know if he owns these guys or if he's trying to go get them.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you own them both, package Rashee Rice and Sam Laporta and go get yourself some Brock. All right. Jamie is asking Jacob, who would you put Caleb over in this draft? Whoever falls to that spot is going to be a good value. I'm going to answer this on behalf of Jacob. I would put Caleb over Henderson and Judkins, depending on landing spot. So I love Caleb Johnson. He took an absolutely garbage Iowa offense and became their offense. Mm-hmm. And he did it with the second most loaded boxes in all of college football behind Ashton Genty. So go look at his numbers from 2024 and then tell yourself that guy saw more 8-man boxes than anybody else in college football except for Genty. And nobody could stop him. And nobody could stop Genty either. Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson, while I like them, they were playing with an OSU team that was very refined, won the national championship, but was also better than their competition, and they had the diversity to be able to use them situationally. Caleb Johnson and Ashton Genty were their team's offenses while the defense was ready for them, and there was no other distraction, and they still absolutely hammered. So I'm having a hard time not putting Caleb Johnson as my RB2 over Hampton. I haven't yet, but it's been tough for me. All right, and Jamie, did you hear the court is allowing Travis Hunter Sr. to join his son at the draft? I did hear that this morning, and that's fantastic. Families should be together. What are your thoughts on Caleb Johnson, Brian?
I like him. I do like the profile. I think he kind of does sit for me as like the last of the tier. Those top 5 running backs. He does kind of like set that line of tier, but I kind of have him in the same bucket as I would Judkins. So I could take either one depending on the landing spot, but it's going to be hard for me to take him over Henderson. The landing spot, we can't stress this enough how much that plays into it, but I still like Henderson's upside as far as fantasy over Caleb. I think Caleb Johnson could have a better NFL career. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility, but just as far as fantasy goes, I really like what Henderson can bring.
So I'm gonna look something up real quick. I'm going to look at Caleb Johnson, and I'm gonna put this in a little bit of perspective. So Caleb Johnson at Iowa played for 3 years, so he's that early breakout candidate. He had 779 yards as a freshman. He had 1,537 yards last year and 21 touchdowns. That is for an Iowa team that was absolutely terrible. And then I go ahead and I look at Blake Corum.
Oh, wasn't that a name hot last year?
And Blake Corum, playing in the same conference as a fourth-year player, had 1,245 yards and 27 touchdowns. So on a better team, he was given more goal line touches and worked it into more touchdowns. But that was a Michigan team versus an Iowa team. And there was less for Blake Corum to do against in the same conference, right? Caleb Johnson did more as a younger player. I love Caleb Johnson, and Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins were also in that conference. They were playing the same opponents that Caleb Johnson did. So I don't know. I'm having a hard time not taking him over Hampton.
And could you imagine if he falls late-ish second round to the Steelers after they take a quarterback in the first round? Like, there's a couple of these hot spots that if he falls there, he might end up, running back 3 in this class.
So, and I think tomorrow on Unhinged, one of my bold predictions that likely won't happen, I think I'm going to say that with all the buzz that Denver might trade up to get Genty, or wait for Hampton to fall or whatever, I'm going to say that they're going to stand pat and grab Johnson. They don't need to move anywhere because Johnson will be there when it's their time to pick. And if they really want a running back, they don't have to spend capital. All they have to do is wait for their pick and grab Johnson. All right, let's get into some of these roster constructions. Jay Will we have going Genty, Johnson. That's phenomenal. Arroyo, Restrepo, and Williams. I think he killed it at the top 2 spots. I'm not a fan of any of the back half of his draft.
I don't mind Arroyo. Might be a little earlier than I would have wanted to take him, but when I go for tight ends, I go for those freak athletes, and that's kind of what Arroyo sits as for me. And then Savion Williams. I talked about my love for those Giants. He's a TCU player, so it makes me just want to pull back a bit. But
right.
I mean, come on, give me that size. I mean, it's a Cordell Patterson is what
Quentin
he is.
Johnston all over again.
But he can run the ball, so he doesn't have to catch it. They can just hand it off to him a few times. Put him in a little wing T situation.
Right. Now, I'm sorry I'm not trying to step on you. I have had my coffee, and it's very, very strong. I do have a tight end note that I'm going to get to as soon as we get through all these teams, but it's very, very important, and it relates strongly to Arroyo. All right. J. McAmj. 9. I'm going to say that this guy is about 32 or 33 years old, because this is a naming style that people about that age were into. All right. Omarion Hampton, Shadur, RJ Harvey, Jarquez Hunter, Torrey Horton. I like Hampton, but I really like his back half. Oh, wow, that sounds wrong.
We're grabbing that clip.
more than his front half. That's what she said. What are your thoughts on this one?
Honestly, I mean, it's hard to go wrong when you're at the 102 with those first 2-round picks. I think those are great smashes there. But the Harvey in the 3rd, and then Jarquez Hunter in the 4th. He's in a bucket, a couple of buckets below where I have, we talked about Caleb Johnson, but I could see Jarquez Hunter being in my top 7, top 8 running backs, depending on that landing spot. Just so much. Seeing him at the combine was just so much fun. So I think he's a great pick there in the 4th round.
And Torrey Horton is going to blow some minds. And that was a 5th rounder. All right, BroCal44, who's definitely a veteran of all of my mock drafting on all of my shows, whether it's Scott Fishbowl or rookie drafts or what have you. Tet McMillan, Trey Harris, good Lord, that's great. Quinn Ewers, we'll talk about in a second. Woody Marks and Oronde Gadsden Jr. Love this. I'm not a huge Woody Marks guy, but Gadsden is, I want to say, my favorite tight end.
It's the Canadian guy, right?
No. that's God, what was his name? Noah Theodore Olivier.
There we go.
No, Trey Harris is my wide receiver 1, and Tet is going to have the draft capital that seals the deal for him. Quinn Ewers is an interesting story, and I've talked on this show about the hit rate for 5-star recruits is at quarterback is 25%. It drops into like the 11-12% for 4-star and below. Or it drops to 11 or 12% or below for 4-star and below. We will see over the next 3 years whether Quinn Ewers was ruined by Steve Sarkisian or not. I have a feeling that he does have an opportunity to hit Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield style. So
just not the draft capital.
Right. I like this in a dynasty because you can put Ewers on your taxi squad, and it's not going to hurt you a whole lot if in 2 or 3 years he washes out of the league. But I think that upside will always stay there. He was a 5-star recruit.
That's the nice thing about quarterbacks is, like, especially if you're picking here 1-1 through 1-4, you're probably a rebuilding team. Quarterbacks hold the most, I mean, it's Superflex at least, they hold the most value the longest. It's so even if he, as a day 3 pick, he goes in round 5, round 6, there's going to be a chance in some season where, he just even comes in as the backup, replaces the starter because the starter's down. So, bam, you can already flip him back for a 2nd or a 3rd potentially to get your value back. Or maybe he does blossom into something that we kind of hoped he was as that 5-star recruit. So, when you're grabbing quarterbacks in the 3rd round, 4th round this early, I absolutely love it to just add that kind of value to your team.
Yeah, and I think he got into a situation where Sarkisian, as the program leader at Texas, Ewers is a 3-year player. So he had the opportunity to either A, enter the transfer portal, or B, stay at Texas, or C, enter the draft. And he's like, I need to get out of here. So I think Sarkisian is the problem, but we will see. All right, Moneyball, no. Cam Ward, Jalen Milroe. I mean, you're just stacking up in Superflex right there. Jalen Nolan, the 3rd, is ridiculous, and then Brashard Smith and Kyle Monungai to finish it out in the 4th and 5th. You guys, go get those 4th and 5th rounders.
Or if your league doesn't draft that high, get ready. Make sure you have room on your team. So once waivers hit after the rookie draft finishes, you can scoop up these running backs. Because if you only have 3 rounds and you can get Hunter, if you're a Marks guy, if you get Smith, if you can get Rocket Sanders, there's so many potential running backs that could be starters by the time we get to August.
Right. We've said it before. There are this rookie class is 25 or 26 deep with guys who could play in the NFL tomorrow. You have a couple tiers, and then you get into like RB4 through 14, and it's like they could all be starters. And then you get RB 15 through 28, and it's guys that could be productive backups. It's stupid. All right, Big Game James, sweep the leg. Tyler Warren, Matthew Golden, Dylan Sampson, Ferguson, and James. So he went on a nice little Oregon run. I like Dylan Sampson as kind of like an Achane light. He's young. He's the youngest running back in the class. I think he's also the fastest, and he can do some things in the open field. Tennessee isn't really a great team, but I think Sampson has a whole lot of upside, especially as a 3rd-round running back. Golden, I think I don't know what to think about him. I think he was not talked about until he ran the 40. And as we know, that's not like the thing with wide receivers. And then Tyler Warren, he was tight end 1. Colson Loveland is getting some steam right now. but Tyler Warren is as safe a pick as any, especially if your Colts get him.
No, absolutely. I want no Warren at all if he goes to the Colts, because that
Okay.
means you're not getting return on any investment until year 3. Because that Anthony Richardson, however he plays this year, and then next year we'll have a rookie quarterback because he's probably not staying. So that means in year 2 for that rookie quarterback, if he's good, that's when you may get a return on Warren. So as a Colts fan, give me Warren. As a fantasy player, don't screw it up. Ballard, I swear, if you screw... Oh, never mind. I was at the Combine. Half the time I was just looking for Chris Ballard so I could rip him a new one. But
Don't draft a tight end. We have 21 home.
Okay.
All right. I went Colson Loveland, Jaden Higgins, Harold Fannin, Tez Johnson, and Isaac Teslaw. These are definitely some of my guys. Loveland I went with simply because Warren went before, and I feel like Loveland has the athleticism. I love Harold Fannin's athleticism, although like I said, Aronde Gadsden is my favorite tight end in the draft. He is actually a wide receiver, but I love Jaden Higgins. He's my favorite wide receiver in the draft. He's my wide receiver based before landing spots. He's my wide receiver 2 behind Trey Harris.
Wow.
Tez is enigmatic. I talked about that. Sorry, Jamie, I won this one again, even though I was trying to do something different and not win. Won another mock. I can't help it.
Hey, you got to give us a fighting chance, man. Come on.
And again, I have a note on tight ends that we'll get to when we're done with this. Slasher goes Travion, Mason Taylor, Bashal Tootin, Tyler Shuck, and Krosky.
I have not scouted that one. I'll be honest with you there. I've done quite a few running backs, but I haven't come across him yet.
I don't even remember hearing that name.
He might have auto-drafted, so that could be playing into that. Or missing some stud. Maybe this is a 5th-round gem. Probably not.
Whew, I love Bashal Tootin. The top half of this one is fantastic.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Travion Henderson is Mike Greinberg's favorite in this class. Rhino, I wonder what his strategy might have been.
To rhino through the draft, that's for sure. Drop that horn on us.
Quinshawn Neal, who is vastly underrated. Damian Martinez, who's vastly overrated. Taj Brooks and Jaden Blue. I would take Blue and Taj Brooks over Damian Martinez, and I wouldn't take Blue.
Yeah, I do have Brooks ranked just above Martinez. I know there's quite a bit of love for him. There's a lot of talk, but this draft class is going to be so deep. Landing spot's going to depend so much that I don't think luck's going to fall his way, and I don't think he's good enough to outplay that. So, yeah, I really like the way he started with Judkins and Neal. Brooks is a great grab in there. I would have grabbed a wide receiver maybe, just to mix it up a little bit there, buddy. But it's not a bad draft to like bully ball into running backs. You're going to smash with at least 2 of these guys, maybe 3 or 4.
I think Devin Neal is going to be the second coming of Josh Jacobs.
Okay, I like that. Yeah.
All right, Chubbs Burger, Travis Hunter, Steele, Cam Scattaboo, who, I mean, I don't know what to think about him. The NFL will tell us everything on Thursday. What we should think. Well,
probably Friday.
Say Friday. What we should think about Cam Scattaboo. Jack Besh in the third is insane. I love Trevor Etienne and Kyle McCord. I was talking to Brian about this pre-show. I said it on my Unhinged show last week. My bold prediction that probably won't happen is Kyle McCord leads all rookie quarterbacks in 2025 in fantasy points. The reason that I say that is because he had a huge year at Syracuse last year. He's going to have very low draft capital. He's going to be a QB2 in a very cushy situation on probably a good team that's just like trying to fill their roster with a good backup. And then his quarterback's going to get hurt in front of him. He's going to be forced into action, and that big arm is going to play out for 4,000 yards and 25 touchdowns, and he's going to smash. All right. What do you think of this one? What do you think of Scattaboo? What do you think of Besh?
Honestly, I think it's probably one of my favorite teams that we have out of this rookie draft. Yeah, just like Travis Hunter, you have to take him when he falls that deep. Like that just seems like it's going to be screaming value. Scattaboo, I think he has an outrageous ceiling. He probably has a pretty good floor or pretty low floor as well. Like this guy might have just been overhyped, but I do love the ceiling getting him later in the second. Besh, like, come on, that's great in the third round. You might get yourself a nice wide receiver 3 flex option for you, potentially, wide receiver 2 weeks. And then ETN, like, just solid pass catching running back that you're getting there in the fourth. And we've talked about the quarterback. If you're going to take somebody really late, a quarterback's a great one to hold value. Kyle McCord may, Biggs is throwing it out there. There's potential that he may put up some decent numbers if he gets his number called this year. So, or in future years.
And getting him in the fifth is just ridiculous. What Cam Scatterbo makes me think of is if people knew who Isaac Guerrero was in January of last year.
Okay, yeah, I love that actually.
It actually took him showing out at the combine. It took Guerrero showing out at the combine and then attrition in the 49ers backfield before he finally got a shot. And then everybody went, oh, his athleticism does play. And I think Scatterbo is kind of that. He led FBS running backs in receiving yards. And so he's going to be a do-it-all guy. I just don't know how good he is as a running back. And he's no Lan Larrison. Who is not in this draft list, which is stupid to me. All right, Dynasty Degens. What's up, Dynasty Degens? I want to say this is Nerd Boy, but I'm not 100% sure. Went Luther Burden, Isaiah Bond, Will Howard, Gunnar Helm, and Damian Edwards. Like it, and this is a lot of guys who. The day after this is the best draft the day after the national championship.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that.
Holding on to those take locks, Dynasty Degens. All right, and then Too Much Brian goes Jackson Dart, my favorite quarterback this year. Ollie Gordon, so we'll talk about Ollie Gordon and Raheem Sanders in the same breath. Ollie Gordon going at the back end of the second round and Raheem Sanders 2 years ago, I would have had them going 1-2.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, Ollie Gordon was amazing 2 years ago.
Then Genty started to show some stuff at Boise State, and last year he kind of sealed the deal. And then you have the other guys. Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson, I thought, could have been okay last year, and then they transferred to Ohio State to play another year. Judkins transferred. Travion stayed. Should have entered the draft last year. Would have gone even higher. So two drafts ago, I think Gordon and Sanders, if they had been eligible, would have gone 1-2. Last year, I think Henderson would have gone probably 1 or 2, and then all those guys have fallen because Genty and Hampton have just kind of risen up, and Caleb Johnson as well. Alec Manor, I got to be honest with you, I hate him. Every time on my other show I do an NFL mock draft, I always, just to poke at Tuma, I always make the Broncos draft him in the first round because I don't think he's a first round wide receiver. I don't like him, so I want to put him on the Broncos. And then Kyle Williams, like you said, the landing spot, if he goes to Tennessee and he's reunited with Cam Ward, he has been opening people's eyes this entire draft season, and he could be a thing.
Potentially, too, getting that draft capital of being the 33rd overall pick, it's huge. It's absolutely huge.
And the data shows that the number one thing to production in fantasy is draft capital for a wide receiver.
Yeah, ideally we kind of solved my screw up there with the Q. This guy can't draft evidently, but probably would have taken Royals or Noel over Ollie Gordon, and then I would have come back with Giddens or Jarquez Hunter in my third pick. But all in all, if you're on a competing team, you might be going for a running back in that second round to help beef up whatever you lost the previous years. So all in all, I'm pleased with it. Maya Manor, it's draft capital for me. I'm not in love with him. He's he's around that wide receiver, I think 9 to 12, somewhere in there for me. So there's definitely guys I like more, but with all the buzz, if you look at the mock draft databases, he should be going as a day 2 pick, which you can't let him slide into the 4th if he gets that kind of draft capital.
I think the buzz is centered around two things. Number one, he cooked Travis Hunter. And number two, he's coming from a Stanford team that had a garbage quarterback, and he still did okay. a lot of the film gurus that I watched and a lot of the film that I've watched, he's not very good at the position, and that scares me. So I don't know if I'm going to be take. I think he's going to be serviceable, but we're talking like a ceiling of 600 to 800 yards in his best season, and maybe 5 or 6 touchdowns. I think that's the cap on A.O. Manor. All right, and then Huncho Gab. Well, okay, I need to review the tape, but I thought that when you picked Ollie Gordon, that was what you wanted to do, and then it drafted him out of your queue, and you were like, oh, well, that's what I had anyway.
Yeah, I did have him. He was in the queue with I had Royal and Noel. That was just me trying to figure out whether I wanted to go wide receiver, running back. As far as running back goes, he was next one up on my board. But looking at it now, spacing it out, I probably would have wanted to go wide receiver and clean up in these running backs later on. Just because the wide receivers for me here later on are very, it's not a deep wide receiver class. We're falling in love with these folks, but we do this every year.
Right.
We talked about the strength of a class. Everybody starts picking their favorites toward the middle or the end just to have that guy that they want to stick their flag in, and then we're like, damn it, shouldn't have done it.
And to what I was saying earlier about the tiers, you have Genty 1 and then Hampton 2. I'm gonna start tiering it as Hampton, Caleb, and Quinshawn. But we'll see what happens this weekend with Travion. If he gets draft capital, if it looks like he's going to a team where he's going to be the running back one in that running back room, I'm going to have to adjust a little bit. But then Neal, Scattaboo, Gordon, Caleb, Quinshawn, I see them all at basically the same level, and I could probably throw Hampton in there too. It's just it's so hard to kind of like parse this thing, and one thing will outweigh another each different time you look at it, and it's baffling. All right, Huncho Gab went Ibuka, Royals, then Giddens, Kiner, and Yarns. All right, I love Ibuka.
Yep.
Jalen Royals.
Yep.
If he has more Michael Gallup peak seasons than Michael Gallup did, he's going to be a success in the NFL. DJ Giddens does not get a lot of steam, but he's good. Corey Kiner, I'm not like, I haven't done the homework on. Marcus Yarns is an FCS story out of Delaware. Not as good as Land Larison.
Yeah, Yarns is definitely on the radar before Kiner is for me. But again, we're talking about how deep this running back class is. It's just kind of where he sits for me.
All right, let me get to my tight end note before we get out of here. I don't know if I talked to you about this yet or not. All right, so we had Andrew Cooper, the tight end guru, on one of our shows, and what he was explaining to us was that if you look historically at the tight end position, there are not very many tight ends who were as low as the tight end 3 in their draft class, the third tight end taken off the board in their draft, that have had success in the NFL. It's typically tight end 1 and tight end 2, and then there's a smattering of tight end 3s. So when you're looking at this draft class and you start talking about the top 7, you've got Loveland and Warren, who are kind of going back and forth. You got Fannin to throw in there athletically. You've got Orlando Gadsden, who like had a huge junior year and should have, like, if he hadn't gotten hurt, he'd be spoken of in way different terms. You've got Mason Taylor with his bloodlines. You've got Elijah Arroyo, who turned heads at the Senior Bowl. You got 7 guys in this class. So one of two things is going to happen with this 2025 tight end class. Either one, history is going to play out normally, and there will only be 2 draftable tight ends in this class, or this is an historic class in that 7 are going to be productive. So you're going to have to bank on one of those 2 things playing out. What are you doing with it?
Well, that's the hard thing, too, is because, I mean, outside of these last couple of years, traditionally, tight ends usually aren't breaking out until year 3. So that's the other hard part about the situation. We might not actually know we won't know how this draft of the tight ends develops until 2027, 2028 season. Because again, on Harold Fannin's age, he's 20 years old. I don't expect him to be a stud this first year, Give him some time to learn the position, get worked in there. Most of these guys outside of the first 2 probably aren't going to have the draft capital where they are going to be probably a top 3 target on the team. These guys are going to be fighting as the target number 4, target number 5. So that's usually what plays into that too. Brock Bowers was the number 1 target on his team, hence why he blew up like that. Sam Laporta coming in as the number 2 target in his rookie year, that's why he blew up. So landing spot plays so much into this too, which and unfortunately, you guys are looking for more answers from us. We're not going to have them until Friday night.
Yeah, and I mean, look at Dalton Kincaid. He was supposed to be part of that class. Hasn't done that yet. Kyle Pitts did it year 1, hasn't done it since. It's a nebulous position, and unless you have that profile and you're immediately one of the top target earners on the team, it's situational, and it is changing in that there are more big slot type tight ends who are coming in the league that aren't being asked to block and play inline. And what traditionally was happening was that tight ends were coming into the league and it would take them 3 to 4 years to learn how to play inline and get out and be athletic and whatever. So it did take longer for breakouts to happen. But what we're seeing is guys who are athletic can be inserted right away and they can break out immediately. So you want that athletic profile, and there are 3 tight ends in this class that have that athletic profile, maybe 4, maybe 5. Then you start getting into Elijah Arroyo. He's athletic for his size. But he's probably going to be looked at more as an inline tight end. Draft capital is going to be huge because if a team is spending second round draft capital on a tight end, that they're going to play them. If they're coming off the board in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, they're likely going to have like a long runway, a ramp up period. So Monday's going to be huge.
And then you've also got the weird. I mean, look at the Baltimore just 6-ish years ago. They took Hayden Hurst in the 1st and Mark Andrews in the 3rd. So as much as we look at some of these statistical things, there's always outliers. There's always these wildness. So when you're taking a tight end in the 4th or 5th, it might be wild. It might be a little crazy, but you never know. None of us can predict more than 30-40% of really what's going on here. So like it's taking the shot. It's where your team needs are. If you need to take shots at tight end because you don't have one of the top 2, freaking fire those bullets.
Right, and if you want to know, either follow the tight end guru Koopa Fiasco or follow me, and I'll just tell you what he said.
There you go.
All right, let's get to these comments. Need 2 more for the Flex 4 on Fast Draft. Speaking of Fast Draft, this show is presented to you by Fast Draft. Do you like drafting? Do you want to draft faster? Draft faster with Fast Draft. Use code BOOTH and you'll get a $50 match with your first time buy-in. And there's some great games. The Origins game is back. We filled up the first one. Now Origins Chaos is live. We got about 40% full already within like the first week. It's crazy. Flex 4 is still there. We got 6 players. Go ahead and take wide receiver, running back, and tight end, and it's best ball format. And then we got D-Up, which is an IDP format, and it's all defensive players. So if you know more about IDP than I do, come beat me. All right.
Hey,
go ahead.
Go for it.
No. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, can we play a quick little game real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, I know we're talking about rookies. This guy hasn't been a rookie since I was in high school. But right before we got on the show, my little brother called me. And so my question for you, Biggs. Adrian Peterson played for 7 teams. Can you name those 7 teams?
No.
Oh, okay, I couldn't either.
Did you want me to try?
Yeah, give it a shot. Can you? How many can you get?
Minnesota, and that's all I got.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, you got Cardinals, you got Washington, Saints, Lions, Tennessee, and Seahawks. Nice. I got 5 of the 7. I completely forgot he played for Tennessee for 3 weeks, and the Lions and the Seattle for like 4 weeks. But oh my god, it was driving me insane that he played for 7 teams. Just random, but
I don't even. Maybe I remember him playing for the Cardinals a little bit. That's it. I don't remember him playing for the Saints at all. It's Minnesota, and then it's only because you mentioned the Cardinals that rings a bell.
Yeah, I had to really start thinking. I was like, oh crap, he really did do a nice little tour there those last 3-4 seasons.
Wow, that was trivia time with Brian. All right. Slow draft. Oh, Jamie is doing all of the fast draft content in these comments. If slow drafts drive you crazy, why not just speed them up? If you don't have a full hour to draft, spend 5 to 7 minutes on a fast draft. Fastdraft.app is where you go and use code There's no code. Use code BOOTH. It's usually in the overlay, but not this week. More drafts, faster drafts, rookie drafts, IDP drafts, you name it. Fast draft is the best. That's true. You did crush that draft, Jamie. Pat on you.
Gonna hurt your arm and patting yourself on the back there, bud.
I wanted Trey Harris over Golden, which is more likely is in other drafts. Always draft Trey Harris over Golden. Made the trade. Oh, okay. Nice. So who'd you get? Because we know you were.
We threw out a few options because we weren't 100% sure too. So I'm like, did you trade Rashi and Laporta to get Brock? Because that was a great suggestion over there.
He said he didn't have them. He doesn't have Laporta. Okay. I think I'm figuring this out. I think he had Rice, and he was trying to trade Rice to get Laporta. He doesn't have Laporta. I think he did that. Okay, and I like that trade. Rice is dealing with some stuff and should be okay, but I still like the trade. And then Laporta is a good get. We saw kind of a dead cat bounce with him where his production kind of slipped a little bit, but then it started ramping back up, similar to Mark Andrews. Laporta was good down the stretch. And I like the direction that his career is going to take. And don't sleep on Michael Mayer. If we remember correctly, in that class, Michael Mayer was like regarded as the best tight end in the class, similar to a Warren Loveland. That was kind of similar to this class. You had Laporta, Kincaid, and Mayer. I personally got to watch Mayer score a touchdown against my Cal Bears in South Bend, Indiana. But Mayer's good. He's very good. The only reason that he wasn't a top 5 tight end last year was because the Raiders had Brock Bowers fall into their lap. Because Michael Mayer may have done last year what Brock Bowers did if Brock Bowers hadn't entered the picture, because he's that good at tight end. He and Brock Bowers were the 2 best tight ends of the 5 year in college football in the 5 years before Brock Bowers got drafted. So
and we've heard whispers of him being on the trade block too. I would not be surprised if we see him moved on draft night.
If I'm the Raiders, I'm not doing that. I'm putting out 21 personnel or 22 personnel with Mayer and Bowers on the field.
I can see Carroll doing that too.
Yeah, right. It's the perfect Carroll offense. Michael Mayer in line and Brock Bowers lining up in the big slot. And then finally, so yeah, I like that trade, but hang on to Michael Mayer. He's at some point he's going to get a chance to shine. And then Scattaboo, he's a bust. Thanks, Jamie. All right, that's going to do it. I'm going to do this one thing real quick because we've been talking about it, and and Jamie's been talking about it, and somebody else. I hate my trackpad. Somebody else wants to get in on the action, so let's hear. Well, no, let's do this.
If you play in Dynasty, you need Dynasty Deluxe, our premium package for Dynasty Leaguers. We rank over 300 players, updated every week, all year long. And there's a win now mode and a rebuild mode with Superflex and tight end premium controls. And a Dynasty League sync where you can say, sync down all of my sleeper teams, all my FFPC teams. And then you can browse around your leagues for who has needs. And then you can use our trade finder to see what kinds of trades are happening in leagues that are similar to the one I want to do. Then you can analyze trades using our trade analyzer, which balances the lifetime value, which includes pick values out to like 2028. All of that plus the rookie guide, $25 value is included. So if you're just in one Dynasty League, Dynasty Deluxe is well worth it. And use your host's promo code, and you can bump up to all in and get $25 off.
Use promo code BOOTH, BOOTH.
Or promo code too much. It won't work, but you can try it.
It'll say sorry. That didn't
loser.
Work. Great mock. Now let's fast draft. Yes, Jamie. I hope somebody's paying you. All right, you guys. I'm going to be in Green Bay on Thursday and Friday. It's going to be a blast. I will be doing my regular show from Green Bay on Friday morning. Well, Friday afternoon. It'll be 6 o'clock Green Bay time. But I will be doing the Player Profiler show on Friday. So I will see you from Green Bay. Thank you, Brian, for coming on. Can't wait to get together again at the expo. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next. I'll see you on Friday. We'll see you on the Dynasty Stock Market next week.
Later.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to PlayerProfiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.
So this guy yesterday